Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tigers Roar. I'm Tommy Krysan of Pelican Sports TV. Appreciate you being tuned in. Spread the roar about our program each and every Wednesday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, and streaming on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com. My co-host for tonight, the sports director at KKAY 1590 AM, Troy LaBeouf. Troy, how you doing?
Doing great, man. It's been a long day for us, but it's been a fun day.
Yeah, you were down at the Bash eating breakfast, from what I understand. A long day for you. I spent about 3.5, 4 hours at the Bash today. A huge lineup of broadcasting on KKAY 1590 AM. Started at 9 o'clock with Chad Bluen and Jordy Hultberg and Buddy Sanji and Pelican Sports Radio. And really appreciate all the people that stopped by the booth to pick up some flyers about all the shows and the station and the internet stream and the smartphone app, and register for a beautiful print that we gave away on behalf of Pelican Sports Radio and Printing Tech of Baton Rouge. And it was a long day, and pretty much can say that the hay is in the barn. 22 players today put their name on the dotted line and became LSU signees. That does include Jeremy Hill, the Redemptor's High running back, who was expected to sign last year until he ran into some off-the-field legal issues. Wasn't in school in the fall. He's enrolled now, and he has been added to this class. 22 names on the dotted line. One surprise that kind of came in, one surprise that kind of didn't come in. But all in all, as always, Troy, Coach Miles had his meeting on campus, which you're going to see all of that here tonight on Tigers Roar. He went over to the River Center Arena to meet with the crowd that was there. A lot of purple and gold there, as you would imagine. Again, signing day, always special in LSU, the 17th annual Tiger Gridiron Club Bayou Recruiting Bash, and that thing continues to be the work of a lot of people. And I had fun out there, and I know you did, and the rest of the people with KKAY 1590 AM. Again, we thank everybody. But it was a heck of a day, a little bit of a different layout because the bowling tournament that's in Baton Rouge for the next 5 months, which is going to help the economy and the community so much. But I had a lot of fun out there.
I did too. You know, it was a different layout from what we were used to. This is the 17th annual. Those guys, a lot of work goes into putting that thing together. And I do appreciate everybody coming to the booth, talking to all of our hosts that bring great sports to you on KKY 1590 AM. I got to meet a lot of the guys that I know. Like I told you, one of the guys, Tony, I heard his voice. I knew it was him right away.
Right.
Then I finally got to put a face with it. So it's always fun. And I know we're gonna really dig deep into this class, and you and I both have thoughts on it.
Right, and we got some thoughts. Again, 22 signees. We've got tape on about 9 or 10 of them. We'll show you some highlight tape tonight. Again, you're going to get the comments of Coach Les Miles. Break it down by state for you. Of the 22 players that signed, 14 from the state of Louisiana, 3 from the state of Texas, 2 from Georgia, 1 from Alabama, 1 from Mississippi, 1 from Florida, makes up the 22. So 14 out of 22, little bit, about 60%, 65% of the class from the state of Louisiana. And, you know, I did have people want to talk about the guys that got away today. Landon Collins obviously did sign with Alabama, not till about 3 o'clock. But if you're an LSU fan, you got to talk about who they signed, not the ones that got away. And you know, this is primarily an LSU show, but, you know, it's nothing wrong with talking about players that got away, because we also want to mention that ULL, Coach Mark Hudspeth, they're very happy with the class they got. They got more excitement about Raging Cajun football than they've had in a long time with the success he had. ULL, the only Louisiana team to win a bowl game last year, winning the New Orleans Bowl over San Diego State. So they're excited. Tulane with new coach Curtis Johnson comes off the Saints staff. Tulane, some of the people have been around for a while in New Orleans saying this is, you know, 4-star, 3-star, it's a little subjective, but that the players signed by Curtis Johnson, some of the more recruited, highly recruited players, a better signing class than Tulane's had in quite some time. Obviously, they need more players. They need better players. And Curtis Johnson, who, as we said, left the Saints staff to take over the Tulane Green Wave, he's excited, as well as all the other state schools, you know, McNeese State and Nichols State and Southeastern and, you know, everybody in the northern part of the state. Southern University, Stump Mitchell signed 15 players out there, and he's excited about that. It's a day to be excited. And Troy, as you've heard me say, 2, 3, 4 years from now, that'll be when you know exactly what this class is all about. Because as Les Miles pointed out today, if you look at his 2008 signing class, they went 13-1 this year and won the Southeastern Conference Championship. So that's the true measuring stick. But everybody was excited at the River Center today about the LSU signees. All the schools around the country are excited about it. it's what happens on signing day.
It is, Tommy. I tell you, if you just want to look at rankings, obviously the rankings come from the stars from all the different players, how they're rated. I mean, Florida State, Alabama, Texas, Florida, Georgia, that's your top classes in just about every, if you look at Scout, ESPN, 24/7, Rivals. But I think at the end of the day, did you feel your needs? Did you stock up positions that you needed to? And when we dig into this class, we're going to see LSU needed some linebackers, and they picked up 5.
Correct. Signed 5 linebackers, 3 wide receivers, 5 defensive backs, 3 offensive linemen, 1 tight end, 1 quarterback, 1 defensive lineman, 1 running back. That would be Jeremy Hill. 1 guy listed as the athlete, and 1 long snapper. Sometimes them long snappers don't get enough credit. So
can that quarterback count as 2?
Why is that?
Since he's a big guy.
They say he's up to about 290. So, dear Tommy Moffitt, you got a project already as soon as Jeremy Liggins. Talk about Liggins, the quarterback from Oxford, Mississippi. All along he said he was going to stay in state, go to Ole Miss, go to Mississippi State. He went to Lafayette High School, which is in Oxford, Mississippi, which, of course, as you know, is the home of the Ole Miss Rebels. And the other night in a restaurant in Oxford, he declares that he's going to go to LSU. So LSU did not have a quarterback until that point. Most people would say they should have gotten a quarterback in this class. What will happen to Liggins? I even read one thing where he may move to defensive end. But we'll see what happens with that. But right now he's listed as a quarterback, and he quarterbacked back-to-back state champions in the state of Mississippi. And I don't care what class you're in or how much you weigh. If you go back-to-back state titles, you got to be doing something right.
Yeah, they did it at the 4A level, I think 32-0 in their last 2 seasons. Just to give the folks an idea about him, he is kind of a zone read guy. He can throw the football 70 yards probably on his knees almost, but he ran the football a lot for those guys in Mississippi. Obviously, they're going to work on him in the weight room, hopefully get a redshirt year out of him. You need to sign a quarterback every year, Tommy. You got to be able to continue to stockpile. LSU doesn't want to get into the position that they were 3 or 4 years ago when you had to put a freshman on the field.
Right, so when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the individual players that were signed. Troy has seen many of these guys play football, looked at some tape. He's seen a little more than I have. I've seen some tape, so we'll let him make some comments and get you some tape to look at tonight. Still to come on tonight's program, we will have the unedited version of all of Les Miles' comments out on the campus of LSU today. We'll get over to the baseball diamond and hear from Coach Paul Maneri in hour number 2. We got some basketball, softball stuff for you. And, of course, Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com will join us at the beginning of hour number 2. We're going to run to a break, come back with more of Tigers Roar with Troy LaBeouf, Sports Director of KKAY 1590 AM. I am Tommy Chrysan. Stay with us. We've got a lot for you. Jam-packed show tonight, Tigers Roar.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Duncan from the 2011 track and field team, and you are watching Pelican Sports TV.
Hey, you expecting a refund and want a new car? Come to North American Automotive Group on Airline. We make it easy. Bring your W-2, file your taxes, use it towards your down payment, and drive home today. North American Auto on Airline.
Welcome Louisiana Music Hall of Fame inductees Lillian Axe. Free album release party. February 4th at the Howlin' Wolf, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first, then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to BrysonLawFirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney, Kerry Bryson.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
We continue with Tigers Roar. It was signing day, the beginning of the signing period for LSU, all the state schools, all the schools around the nation. And LSU put 22 guys down. John Thomas, who was a big tight end commitment from up in the Shreveport area, says he's still going to go to LSU, but has to get some grades and some academics in order, so he is not signed. So 22 people, players, student athletes have signed. Now, we mentioned a little earlier there was one good surprise, one not so good surprise. The good surprise is linebacker Quan Alexander from Oxford High School in Oxford, Alabama, not Oxford, Mississippi, where Jeremy Liggins is from. And I saw his little deal on ESPNU. He had the hats in front of him, and he stood up and took his warm-up jacket off, and he had a white dress shirt on with purple and white suspenders and a purple tie, and he put that purple LSU hat on. This was a last-minute good surprise for LSU. Quan Alexander, 6'2", 220. You can go look up all the tape on him, look up on the info on tigerbait.com. But LSU, I even saw the interviews with the coaches in the LSU war room, if you will. They were pleasantly surprised. They didn't know that was coming. They had no indication, and Quan Alexander just said he wanted to be an LSU Tiger.
He did. You know, he picked LSU over Alabama and Auburn. He's a number 3 outside linebacker if you look at all the different classifications out there, ESPN, Scout Rivals, and what have you. So, again, that's the star status, whatever you want to look at. But he's a very athletic linebacker. I think he can come in right away, Tommy. I think he can really battle for some playing time on this LSU team. They have a lot of juniors and seniors coming up as far as the linebackers are concerned, but a lot of those juniors and seniors don't have a whole lot of experience for this team.
He was the only player from the state of Alabama to sign with LSU. The only one of 2 players from the state of Georgia, Vidal Alexander, big offensive lineman, 6'6", 315, Buford High School in Buford, Georgia. As we get a look at some of the highlights of ball games here, there's number 74, the lineman, Alexander, Vidal Alexander on the left side there. Big guy. LSU did sign 3 offensive linemen. Obviously, he's one of them.
Yeah, he's a really good one. He's a lot of pancake blocks, 6'6", 315. As you said, out of Buford, the only signee, one of 2 signees of Georgia. He's got all the ratings. He's Super Prep All-American, consensus 4-star product. He played in the Under Armour All-Star game. He played the 2A level, which is probably equal to our 3A level here. He was All-State as a junior and a senior. And he was rated the number 11 offensive tackle by most of the services out there. Probably going to benefit from a redshirt year, just to add to those red shirts that LSU redshirted 3 or 4 linemen this past year. So I like the future of LSU's offensive line.
Wide receiver, LSU did sign 3 guys from the wide receiver position, including a guy you've seen play from Breaux Bridge High School, a very good, solid program over there at Breaux Bridge. Wide receiver, Trevon Doral, 6'3", 170. You get a look at him, number 1 on your screen.
He's a very good one. I had a chance to cover him several times in the game of the week, and you see him go and get the football at its highest point right there. Very athletic, obviously played at Breaux Bridge, a very, an outstanding program. He was really good, you'll see, in the return game. As a junior when I covered him, in the game of the week, he had several returns for touchdowns. He matured so much from his junior to his senior season. 9 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards receiving. The biggest thing, Tommy, I think he's going to have to get better at is being able to get off the line of scrimmage, because they're going to play real physical with him. But he has an opportunity, I think, to play early at LSU.
A big offensive lineman. Again, LSU signed 3 offensive linemen. You just saw the big kid from Buford, Georgia. But the guy we showed you a little bit of tape on last week from Edna Carr High School down in New Orleans, a Superdome team that lost the 4A final to Neville. Derek Edinburgh, you talk about big, 6'7", 325 is what LSU's got him listed as. Clearly the biggest guy on the field. Edna Carr, Coach Jabbar Jaluki does a super job with them. He's a former Southern Jaguar. And here's a look at the big lineman Edinburgh on the left side of the line in the white jerseys for Edna Carr.
Yeah, I had a chance to cover him several times as well. The biggest thing that this year you see him pulling out there, he's got pretty good feet. He's just built, you know, you think he's built to be an offensive tackle, but he could go inside and be a big guard like LSU had a couple of years ago. The biggest thing I think he's going to have to overcome, especially in the games I covered him on, he always went against an undersized defensive lineman. He was never really challenged that much. They went to the Superdome, to the finals 2 years in a row. Great coach and Coach Jabbar Jalouk. So they're going to have to continue to get him stronger in that weight room, and hopefully a redshirt year will help him do that.
Another linebacker, one of 5 linebackers signed by LSU, Ronnie Feast from West St. John High School. He played for Coach Robert Valdez. Coach Valdez has an outstanding program at West St. John down there in Edgard, and you get a look at Ronnie Feast, a linebacker who some say is a guy that could get on the field as a true freshman.
Very good. I've watched this guy play for 5 years now. Played as an 8th grader at West St. John. They use him in a variety of positions. Coach Robert Valdez, the former Southern player, does a fantastic job moving this guy around. He played some defensive end. They played him inside some. But what he did for them was rush the passer. I can see him definitely playing in that outside Sam or Will position for LSU because he's very athletic. And I agree with you. I think he may have a chance to play early.
And I can tell you this, he played for Robert Valdez. Robert Valdez players come out of there not only as fine young men, but good student athletes and hard-nosed football players like Robert was himself. Dylan Gordon is a big tight end that played at John Curtis, that played as a freshman all the way through his senior year. I actually saw this kid play when he was a freshman at John Curtis. Of course, he's gotten a lot bigger and a lot better. 6'5", 265. Everybody knows the success of the Patriot program, but you're going to see him catching the ball here from his tight end position. And big guy, number 3 in the blue shirt, he can make some things happen getting out and receiving the ball. Here he's number 3 in a red shirt.
Yeah, you know, obviously comes from John Curtis, outstanding program, 20-plus state titles. What he's done for John Curtis is pretty much blocked. They didn't throw the football to him a whole lot. He caught only about 10 passes, 10 to 15 passes this last year. But outstanding blocker, and I think if you look at what LSU tries to do scheme-wise, Tommy, their blockers have to be, their tight ends have to be great blockers. LSU has a couple of senior tight ends this upcoming year. He has a chance with a redshirt year to play maybe as a redshirt freshman.
Another guy, Gerald Hawkins from West St. Mary High School up in the northern part of the state. Hawkins is another big lineman, 6'6", 290. He's the 3rd of the 3 offensive linemen following Alexander and Edinburgh. But Gerald Hawkins, I've heard nothing but good things about Hawkins as you see him playing here, West St. Mary High School, highlighted on the defensive line on this particular play.
20-plus pancake blocks his senior year. I think the question is, where do you play him? Do you play him as an offensive lineman, which that's what the coaches are talking about, or could he be bulked up a little bit more maybe? Only that probably have to put another 15, 20 pounds and play him inside as a defensive tackle. That's going to be the question. Is he flexible enough to play on that offensive line, or is he too athletic to take him away from that defensive line?
Well, and again, many guys do change positions when they get to the collegiate level. We've seen it for many, many, many years, and you're going to continue to see it, and he could be one of those particular guys that does that. A running back, obviously LSU has a ton of depth at the running back position returning next year, but you can't have too many, and a guy who should have been in last year's class, legal issues, Jeremy Hill from Redemptorist High School in Baton Rouge, and I got to see him play a few times. He's definitely got all the skills of a running back. If he can get his off-the-field issues past him, which he appears to have done, he's a guy that in the future could be carrying the football for the Tigers.
You know, he joins an LSU team with a crowded backfield, but don't let that deter folks. I'm telling you, this guy was rated ahead of Kenny Hilliard coming out last year, and we saw the type of season that Kenny had when he was given the opportunity for LSU. This guy played for Coach Guy Mastretta, outstanding coach at Redemptorist, and you saw him, Tommy, I saw him. He can just flat out run the football, and he's a powerful back as well. He can get it between the tackles, and he has enough speed to get outside.
And he's expected to, have a chance to contribute next year. Again, Coach Mistretta did a good job preparing him for the collegiate level. Another guy, a linebacker out of Jesuit High School in New Orleans, Debo Jones. He was a Nebraska guy for a while, changed his mind, decided to become an LSU Tiger. Did the paperwork today, 6'2", 200 pounds. You see Debo Jones on the INT here, Jesuit in the white and blue uniforms. Linebacker who can get down the field. You see him highlighted in the linebacker position, coming up and making the play. That's Debo Jones.
Debo Jones, a very good one, plays for Coach Wade Kaiser at Jesuit High School. Coach Kaiser is an outstanding coach. He put some athletes out to the college level. But Jones, as you said, was a Nebraska guy. Then LSU got on him. They thought he was a player that could contribute for them. He's one of the 5 linebackers assigned in this class. I think he's a guy that's athletic enough that if they bulk him up too, he can play inside in the future. But I like Debo Jones, the linebacker from Jesuit.
We got film on tape on 2 more guys for you. Jerquinic Sandoff, from Booty, Louisiana, Hineville High School, 6'2", 180, a safety. Played for Coach Lou Valden down there, and he's a guy that's got a lot of potential as well.
He does. He was an early commitment for the LSU Tigers. There were some people scratching their heads. Not a lot of people heard about this guy. I've had a chance to look at him on film several times. He's a physical guy that can cover. He can jam guys off the line of scrimmage. I really think he's a guy that can maybe contribute on special teams early, as LSU does with those guys, and then get an opportunity to play in that defensive backfield when some of these veterans start to graduate.
Another guy, cornerback out of New Orleans on the West Bank, O'Perry Walker High School, another rich tradition program in the greater New Orleans area. Dwayne Thomas, LSU, he's one of 5 defensive backs. You can't have too many defensive backs. LSU's had some great ones in the past and some coming back, but Thomas from O'Perry Walker, he's going to be hopefully another guy who can add his name to this list of outstanding defensive backs at LSU in the last 6, 7, 8 years.
He's a physical one, 6'1", about 180 pounds. He played obviously with Anthony Freak Johnson and was a teammate of him the previous year. Anthony now on the defensive line at LSU. He's a 6th player from O'Perry Walker to sign with LSU in the last 20 years. But Frank Wilson knows a lot about him because he was a former coach at O'Perry Walker, so he knows about what type of athletes come out of there. I really like this guy. I think he might have an opportunity to get on the field as a freshman, as a true freshman, on special teams, and maybe challenge in that defensive backfield.
When we come back, we're going to let you hear from Coach Les Miles as he spoke to the media today at about 4 o'clock on the campus at LSU. Then he headed over to the Bash, and we'll let you, we got plenty of comments from Coach Miles, enough for Troy and TK for a little while. We're going to let you hear from the head coach at LSU Tigers, Les Miles. When we return, spread the roar about Tigers Roar TV on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans, and on the internet at pelicansportstv.com.
Hey, where you can expect to find the best pre-owns right here at North American Auto on Airline in Gonzales. Folks, every car comes with a warranty. Cars, trucks, SUVs, you name it, we got it. Get pre-approved, brcarcredit.com. Folks, don't you leave till you see me.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us, it's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants. And it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants. And again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane,
Yeah,
regardless.
what was your work? Anything together? Do we know?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.
For the thirsty, for those who hang out in packs, for heroes, for sidekicks, for those who see the glass half empty, for those who see it half full, for those on the right, for those on the left, for those with nicknames, for those with curves, for people that cycle, for people that recycle, for BFFs, for frenemies, for those with style, for lovers, for families, for big families, for everyone.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
We continue with Tigers Roar here on a Wednesday night. If you're catching this on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you got a replay going. We do remind you, our good friends at WHNO TV, Channel 20 out in New Orleans, they air this each and every Friday from 5 until 7 p.m., a rebroadcast of the Wednesday night live show, and that hits the North Shore. Hammond, Ponchatoula, Covington, Mandeville, Slidell, Bogalusa, Franklinton, hits into Bayou Country, Thibodaux, Houma, Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and over on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, as well as the city of New Orleans every Friday. Our good friends at WHNO TV, Channel 20 in New Orleans. Of course, we air their Sports NOLA TV program on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m., just prior to Tigers Roar here. As we mentioned, 22 players signed by LSU, 14 from Louisiana, 3 from Texas, 2 from Georgia, 1 from Mississippi, Florida, and Alabama, totaling 22 as of today. Here now, live on the campus at LSU at about 4 o'clock today, our crew with Pelican Sports TV was out there. The comments from Coach Les Miles of the LSU Tigers.
Anytime that you get involved in a recruiting effort, the most important piece is to answer the needs that your team has. And, frankly, we've recruited linebackers, but we've really not had a banner crop of linebackers. And we graduated 3 guys that played the majority of our snaps. And the opportunity to recruit a great class there is just what this football team needed. These are guys that will play special teams and have great speed on the field, and frankly, it really will be the youth as we go to replenish that linebacking core. Quan Alexander from Alabama, again, was one of the fastest, most athletic men that we saw on film. Really happy that he joined it. Alonzo Phillips is a very, very talented guy from right here in Louisiana that's used his hands extremely well. Ronnie Feast, a mid-semester guy that came to us from West St. John, and very bright student and enrolled in school as we speak. Another mid-semester linebacker is Lamar Lewis from Breaux Bridge, again, Louisiana. Played tailback, has great speed. Answers a real question there. And we took 2 other linebackers in this state, Trey Grenier and Deion Jones. Both guys, Deion has great speed to the ball and is a very, very physical linebacker. Trey is really a prototype Mike backer. So and looking at the year in and year out in this state, this is the best linebacking class that I have seen. Our next, in order, we lost 2 great corners and we lost 2 safeties. And so we had to replenish that. Probably the first need there would probably have to be at safety. And Corey Thompson out of Elkin, Texas, was a 6'2", 4'4", one of the very, very fine safeties in Texas. And frankly, we had to have him, and he made a last-minute decision to come with the Tigers, and really is just exactly what we needed. We also took 2 corners, Dwayne Thomas from Eau Perry Walker in Louisiana, right down in New Orleans, and Jalen Mills, DeSoto, DeSoto High School in Texas. Both very, very capable corners and guys that we feel like will be great future corner prospects. We took 2 other defensive backs, Jaquinic Sandolph out of Hahnville, Louisiana, 6'2", 190, very talented, very capable secondary guy. And Derek Raymond, who has great speed, 6'1", 170-pound defensive back from East Jefferson, and a one of the fastest 60-meter dash guys in the country. So our next need certainly had to be at quarterback. We're looking for a guy that's tough and that can handle the position and understand the uniqueness of quarterback play in Louisiana. Came out of Lafayette High School in Oxford, Mississippi. I enjoyed how he made his decision. First and foremost, he visited our camp. He visited us. We really stayed on him the entire way. There was at no time did we stop recruiting Jeremy Liggins. Jeremy Liggins was a priority for us. He was that guy who can throw the football and move his feet and would give us a very, very talented prospect at quarterback. And he has won 32 straight wins in his high school, 2 state championships. And I have to be honest with you, I recommended that he not stand up in the square in Oxford and tell everybody that he was going, that he didn't really need to do that. He said, but you know what? He said, I enjoy these people. These people are my home. And I want to make my announcement there, and he did. And I just felt like that was a big-chested, straightforward way to do and conduct business. And he made that announcement. I can tell you that he became a better prospect to me the way he handled his business. I can also say that right now he's probably closer to 280 than 270. And that would mean that if a defensive lineman that was rushing the passer came loose, he might well bring a friend. That he might not just get it done by himself. And we'll look forward to training him and preparing him at quarterback. We lost Ruben early to the draft, and we needed to get some real skill there. We took Travian Durrell from Breaux Bridge, exciting, he's a 7-foot high jumper. He has great speed, 4'4" guy, great ball skills, returns kicks and punts, very exciting. And Avery Johnson, who comes to us from Pat Peterson's family, the senior Pat and the family back there, we know them. And I always enjoy quality brothers because they know the inside of the program and they're most comfortable, with this LSU program. And so, what happened today was, Steve Craigthorpe was kind of taking over his recruitment, and I talked to him last night at about 10 o'clock or so, and just shared some nice thoughts, and then it was sometime this morning that Craigthorpe called, checking on the grant and aid and make sure that it was faxed in. And Avery said, well, Steve, I just wanted you to know that I had a change of heart, and I'm going to a team that wears red and red helmets. And Steve said, I just can't handle this. And he says, here, Frank, you take it. And Frank was thinking, he never visited there. How in the hell? And it was there that the fax arrived, and Avery Johnson's fax arrived, and that he is in fact a Tiger, and we will punish him severely when we get him on campus. Cavera Holmes from Breaux Bridge, again, one of the faster men in this state, very talented receiving prospect, and a guy that will play in any number of situations. So we had 5 mid-semester guys, and mid-semester guys means this, that their grade point is such and that their academics are so far advanced that they could leave high school a half a semester early. So all of these guys are currently in January, having already arrived and are on campus and going to class. That's a great advantage for us because certainly we get to use them in the spring, and it's a great advantage for them because they get to factor in and learn and be a part. And Jeremy Hill, the great tailback from a year ago, from Redemptorist, had 36 touchdowns and 2,200 yards rushing a year ago. has entered school in this class. Reed Ferguson from Buford, Georgia, was if not the best, the second best snapper in the country. And again, a great student out of Buford, Georgia, enrolled currently. Vidal Alexander, again, out of Buford, Georgia, 6'6", 315-pound or slightly more. Offensive lineman, they ranked as the 5th best offensive line prospect in the country. I can tell you the first time I saw him, he did not look like the 5th best, but he looked like about a 12-year-old who was sitting on the Tiger in front of our building. And his father and mother and he had visited campus without any announcement and were standing really right out in front of our building, having really was sitting on the Tiger, as I recall. And I remember walking by and looking back and saying, you know, I just bet you he's going to be a prospect. I didn't know to what extent. And I went back over there to him and introduced myself. And I said, you know what, one of these days you'll be a Tiger. And he recalled that visit to me. And I remembered that, and it was what an interesting piece, because he is a very, very talented, probably left tackle, and one of the in my opinion, one of the real additions to our team. And again, he's a great student and involved in our January program, already involved in going. So plus the 2 linebackers that I just mentioned, Feast and Lewis, those guys are all enrolled. And again, I think that's an advantage for us. As we go forward, we're looking forward to those kind of guys that would like to come in January, be there for the spring, and give themselves an extra semester. We took a tight end out of John Curtis, a 6'5", 265-pound Dylan Gordon, a very, very talented tight end. Didn't get a chance to catch a lot of passes, but very physical guy, runs extremely well, and has hands. Just we'll have to develop him a little bit more there, but again, I think that with the loss of Mitch Joseph, we needed that style of tight end, and he'll come in and fill that need. The offensive line, besides Vidal Alexander that I just mentioned as a mid-semester, would probably be among this team's next needs. We took Derek Edinburgh, a 6'7", 340-pound offensive lineman out of Edna Carr, and really plays left tackle and has unusual athletic ability for his size. Certainly it'll take some time for him to accommodate college and what we're going to ask him to do, but I think that his potential is really, really very strong. We took Gerald Hawkins from West St. Mary, right here in Louisiana, and is a 6'6", 290-pounder, played defensive line, and frankly is one of the more athletic big men that we've had, and I expect that he will really press the line of scrimmage and press the opportunity to play very quickly. Plus Vidal Alexander, again, I think that is a very, very quality group. The defensive line, we took Danielle Hunter out of Martin's Ranch in Katy, Texas, a 6'5", 245-pound guy who runs a legitimate 4.5, had 30 pressures, number of sacks, just that the style of athlete that we need at defensive end, that very, very athletic, very quick, fast, big man. So that overall certainly is our class. I just want you to know that it's still very much our philosophy to give every in-state great player an opportunity to play here in Louisiana. I can tell you that we did that. We worked hard in this state. We identified what we thought were the best players, and we went after them hard. And we represented the best opportunities that the state, this school, have to offer. And in my opinion, we gathered the great majority of those men and they're here with us in this class. 14 young men from Louisiana, 3 from Texas, 2 from Georgia, 1 from Alabama, 1 from Mississippi, 1 from Florida. Again, I think that this is a class that answers our needs as we have done in the past. I can tell you that the class is ranked nationally as high as 6th, as low as 16th. Frankly, that's never been the issue for me. It's always been about the needs of our team. I can remember in 2008 that we did not have a top 10 ranked class, and this year would have been that senior group. And we won the conference, we won 13 games. We played in the final game, and frankly, that would not have fit what was the national rank of that, that class. So what it really amounts to is we invest in these guys, we train them, they fit the need, and frankly, this is a great class. This is the style of class that will allow us to continue to do the things we've done here in the past, and that is win championships and plan on playing and winning national championship games. So recruiting this year was a little unusual, I'd have to say. I ran into some third-party influential pieces. I think that that's things that some lessons learned that we'll have to deal with as we go forward. I can tell you this, that I intend to compete in recruiting, and I promise you that we will do so. What always is a key piece to every class is not what you see in the 40-yard dash, and not what you see in in how much they weigh, or it's always going to be about the character and the integrity and the toughness and what they want. How ambitious are the people? And I think we got a very, very quality group of men, and I think, again, that this class will give us the opportunity to play for championships.
There's some comments from Coach Miles. He made those this afternoon just before heading over to the Tiger Gridiron Club Bash. When we come back, we've got more comments from Les Miles, a little question and answer segment that took place during that press conference today. Troy LaBeouf, Sports Director of KKAY 1590 AM, and me, Tommy Christ. And stay with us. We got more Tigers Roar right after this.
Key attributes that really puts Papa John's Pizza over the top is our meats. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
For just $11, get our new double-layered premium pepperoni pizza, loaded with a layer of our signature pepperoni, plus a layer of oversized deli-style pepperoni. Just $11 for a large. Plus, get double points all weekend long and earn free pizza fast with Papa Rewards, only at papajohns.com. Sign up now.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Attention all companies dealing with cash flow problems. Companies are going out of business every day. Bankruptcies are at an all-time high. Accounts receivable delinquencies are at the highest levels in decades. Let us help your business collect money owed to your business. NRH and Associates has the solutions. Let NRH and Associates utilize their innovative collection methods to get cash flow back into your business. Call 601-889-0501. That number again, 601-889-0501.
Hey, where you can expect to be pre-approved online? At brcarcredit.com. Need to reestablish? brcarcredit.com. Bankruptcies, divorce, we can help. Shop us online. Once again, brcarcredit.com.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first. Then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to BrysonLawFirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney, Kerry Bryson.
Couple of things to remind you about real quick. Pelican Sports Radio airs Monday through Friday on KKAY 1590 AM, 3 until 4 p.m. Pelican Sports Radio with me, Tommy Chrysan, taking your phone calls. We're mixing it up. We got different guests on different days. Pelican Sports Radio, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. KKAY 1590 AM. They got a free smartphone app, TuneIn Radio. You see the logo on your screen. Also, KKAY1590.com. globalradiokkai.com. You can get the program, part of the all-day lineup of sports. Jordy Hultberg in the mornings from 7 until 9. Chad Bluin on from 9 until 11. Buddy Sanji from 1 to 3. Pelican Sports Radio from 3 to 4. Local sports talk every Monday through Friday, covering Baton Rouge, covering South Louisiana. KKAY 1590 AM. You folks from Lafayette, New Orleans are ripping down I-10, traveling all over South Louisiana. Get that smartphone app, tune in, or get it on the internet, get it on the radio, 1590 AM when you're rolling through. We certainly appreciate it. And spread the word about all 4 programs on KKAY 1590 AM. We're going to take you back out to LSU's press conference this afternoon on the campus. A little question and answer session with Les Miles that took place today. When we come back, we got a whole nother hour, including Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com, his analysis of the signing class. 22 players signed with LSU today. And Troy, you mentioned he's going to give some scholarships with the other spots to some guys already in the program that he feels are deserving, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, obviously with the tight end Thomas not coming in from the Shreveport area, they're going to have a scholarship there. And then they lost Davis out of the Shreveport area. He's going to Texas. So I think Coach Miles and his staff have agreed, let's make use of these scholarships and give it to some guys that have really worked hard in the program. And I think that's the ultimate thing to do. He didn't mention who was going to get it, but I'm sure those guys will probably know pretty soon. So it gives those walk-ins a fighting chance.
All right, here's the question and answer session on the campus at LSU today with Coach Les Miles just before he headed it over to the Tiger Gridiron Club Recruiting Bash.
So, any questions?
Right
hey,
here.
Cabo, I'm going to give you one more. Where you at? Hey, Cabo, I just want you to know one thing. Do not make fun of my quarterback size. You understand that? Okay, I'm just going to let you know. I'm going to let you know that this man is going to step into the huddle for the Tigers in Tiger Stadium and play tough, hard-nosed, very, very talented quarterback position. Well, he may be the fullback also, so.
Ready to go. You mentioned linebackers. You had about 3 senior linebackers graduate. Guys like Muncie and Jones, I guess, are still have something to prove. What, out of this linebacker class, you mentioned Feast and Lewis are guys who enrolled early. Who do you anticipate might be able to play as early as next year?
Well, I think Quan Alexander has great speed. I think Alonzo Lewis, Phillips, Lorenzo Phillips has the ability to do that as well. I think Lamar Lewis has. I just think that this class of linebackers are talented, have great foot speed, and to me can step to the field.
Coach, right here. The way we play the game today, it's becoming more and more specialized, so much to the point that in this year's recruiting class, you've actually signed a kid specifically to be a long snapper. Could you comment on your thoughts about that increasing specialization of the game? Do you like it that way, or would you like to go back to the old days when you found a kid on the squad who could do the snapping without having to use a scholarship just for that purpose? And one other thing, regarding Jeremy Liggins, do we make overmuch about body types with regards to players of specific positions? Because he does look like a defensive end more than a quarterback.
Well, defensive ends don't throw the football. And when you see them throw the football, you go, I would have to say that who's the great quarterback? Roethlisberger at Pittsburgh. He doesn't look like a quarterback either. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying to you is the characteristics then also can be modified. Okay, so he throws it well. He's bright enough to play it. He's certainly athletic enough to play it, and he might be a little lighter next time he takes the field. So you just never can tell. The long snapper, I think the specialization there for us is necessary. I'll give you an example. Our long snappers then go and work with the holders and with the kickers and with the punter during the practice. In other words, we start the practice, so you know, in special teams, and we work those phases. And then as they go into their practice, which is a separate practice from the rest of offense, defense, from that point forward, and then they work snap, hold, kick, punt, and the snapper has to be there. The holder must get the hold, and he must take the snap from that snapper. And so it has become a specialized position for us. And what we would anticipate is really having a long snapper on scholarship each and every year we're here. It appears that it's raining.
Hey, Coach. You had one guy that maybe you didn't think or didn't know you were going to get today that you did get, and there was another verbal commitment that did not come here. Did those kind of things even out?
What guy did you think we weren't going to get?
Well, I don't know if you weren't going to get them, but Quan Alexander committed today. Do you think he was going to commit today?
Yeah, we had a suspicion that he might. It was down to between us and one. And yeah, it's unfortunate that you get to the back end and you don't necessarily know. It's interesting. What we did is we went through a painstaking responsibility to communicate with all of our guys, because we could only take 25. And it became, so you know, a very serious issue in one instance. And it worked to our disadvantage because we were going to communicate it effectively and openly and upfront. And, frankly, those things happened. And then we did not know that we were going to have a defection late, and we had no idea. So those things happen with the idea that, in some way it works out.
And just to follow up, should a coaching staff not get beat up because a young man decides he doesn't want to come to school here? That's not, if he decided 2 years ago he wants to go somewhere else, there's a big name guy that went somewhere else today. I mean, that's not a poor reflection on the effort you guys did, right?
Well, I can only tell you that there was no stone left unturned in any way. And again, I think our school, our community, this state really speaks for itself. I think the enjoyment for those men that stay here and can say after 4 years, you know what, I wanted to spend my college years in Louisiana. I wanted to work so that I could make contacts that really stem from this school, that in fact my family and friends can come see me play, and without difficulty. And frankly, you would have to argue differently that this wasn't the best opportunity in football over time. So, when somebody else goes in another direction, frankly, there's some things we can't control.
Les, could you talk about Jeremy Hill and your recruitment and staying with him through his challenges, what you think he can do for this program, and is he a guy that you're going to want to try to get to the field right away, knowing that he's been away from football for a while?
Well, he certainly will be involved in spring practice right away. I know that he's looking forward to it. I know that he's looking forward to becoming a college student and working hard to make his way on the team. So I think he's very talented. We thought he was maybe the more talented running back in the class when we recruited him first. So to add him to the active roster is really an advantage, certainly this spring. Well, you know what? It's always about finding out all the information and really trying to determine mistakes from what could be labeled as a more severe mistake. And to me, working to do that and having Jeremy go through the painstaking relief as he really complied with everything that anybody asked him to do, just shows you what kind of young man he is. And we're going to look forward to working with him for the next 4 years.
Coach, back here. Can you elaborate more on Deion Jones? This guy was originally going to go to Nebraska to go to Bo Pelini, and then changed his mind to come here with you.
Deion is from New Orleans. There's a guy who's really prideful to be from New Orleans, and he wants to play at LSU. And his father and his family are from New Orleans, and they really wanted him to play at LSU. And I think when that opportunity came, again, we're going to look and evaluate every guy in the state, not only through early film, but also his senior film. And when we saw his senior film, it was unmistakably, a very, very talented linebacker, and has great speed, a great physical, very violent player, and a good student and raised from a loving family, and, people that want to watch him and want to see him progress and grow. And so we're thrilled that he's with us.
Hey, Les, right here in front. Sorry about the shirt, by the way. I know this is just the beginning of the recruiting period. People think of it as signing day. Signing period. Are you guys completely finished, or is there more to do? And the second part of that is you talked about meeting needs. Have you met all of your needs? Are there things that you wish you could have gotten?
Well, I think you never get all the guys that you attempt to recruit. I think there are guys that would have made great fits here. It's really interesting. We are done, and we're not currently recruiting anybody else. Recruiting really is taking place for next year right now. We spent the great majority of the morning, besides walking our class in by telephone, we spent a majority of the rest of the time studying what would be sophomore film, that would, of juniors, and or junior film of what would be seniors. And, looking at a number of very, very talented prospects for the next year. But did we meet all the needs? Yeah, I think we met all the needs. I think that those needs will change as we go forward, and certainly the next class will have to be loaded a little bit heavier in defensive linemen. Yeah, we didn't really want to go to 25 unless we were pressed to do so. We also think that there are some scholarship needs on our current team. Guys that really have earned their place and their right, and we're trying to get at least 2 guys, Grant and H, very quickly.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Again, those were the unedited comments of the press conference today out at LSU on the campus in the administration building just before Coach Miles went over to the River Center, and he got a little feistiness in him there, huh?
He did. He had some of the questions from our local media. They talked about a guy you thought you might have, and then a guy that you got that you didn't think you were going to have. And Coach Miles says, we had a sneaky suspicion that we were going to pick up. He was talking about Quan Alexander. I think it totally hit them from left field that they lost to Cheryl Davis, who went to Texas. And I know there was a lot of stories, a lot of rumors going on around about that right now. But that's certainly a loss for him. You felt like he could have been a guy that could come in and be a rush in or an outside linebacker type.
All right, we've got a whole nother hour of this program in hour number 2. We will speak to Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com. We've got comments from Coach Paul Maneri at Baseball Media Day several days ago. Next week we'll have some softball comments for you. We'll talk a little basketball, a little more recruiting, a little bit more about the signing classes, more from Troy LaBeouf, more from me, Tommy Christ, and spread the roar. You're watching Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans, and streaming online at PelicanSportsTV.com.
Surfing through the channels with his little remote, wolfing down Cheetos. I hope he don't choke between Monday night football and Friday night fights. I'm lucky if I get to see a show that I like. He never hears the phone or the doorbell ring. I don't try to understand him. It's a mailbag.